Hey everyone, it's your girl Shantae Renee. Welcome back. Today I'm talking about my humps, all my lady humps. No, but for real, I'm talking about overcoming the hump or overcoming the wall, if you must say. And I'm gonna tell you this: overcoming the hump, it can be a little tasking, a little uncomfortable, definitely. So, what I've noticed, the main thing is actually understanding and actualizing what the hump is. We have to identify and become aware of what you're trying to overcome. And a lot of times we dismiss it or we don't want to address it, and then it winds up festering into something more than we could ever imagine or ever dream of. And for me, I've noticed that vulnerability is a big hump for me. Um, just a combination of things, from my childhood growing up, my experiences from childhood into young adulthood really contributed to me being vulnerable. And me putting these videos out is a big step for me. Like, it's a huge step. Just sharing what's going on in my mind and my psyche and my experience. Like, to me, that's me being extremely vulnerable. So just taking the initiative to really address whatever your hump may be is really going to help you to overcome it. And then from there, it's really figuring out what caused the hump to happen, what caused it to form in your life, or what caused that wall to go up. And that's the tough part. That's the difficult part, because that's where you gotta kind of dig a little bit back in the past, and it can be uncomfortable. It can be nerve-wracking. It could be triggering. Just putting yourself back and just really looking at, all right, these are the things that happened to me. Oh, I can definitely see point A connected to point B, and that's where I'm at right now at point C. It's really connecting the dots on just your life journey and trying to understand it and try to make sense of it and try to really learn from it and start that healing process. Because a lot of times we get caught up in just the day in and day out of life, and we overlook some of the challenges that we have, and we don't even want to acknowledge the challenge, like actually verbally and acknowledging it. Like, that's part of becoming aware of something, is putting words behind it, because if we don't put words behind it, it just becomes a thought, and a thought doesn't necessarily have any action behind it. So, yeah, I know we talk about how when you You say something, you're speaking it into existence. But no, you're not speaking that action into existence. You're identifying it. It's just like when you see a chair, right? And my thought, I've let me see how to break this down, because this could be a little convoluted. But basically, in your mind, when you see the object, in your mind you say a chair. But out loud, you don't say anything, so you haven't identified what that object is. Once you identify what that object is, that it's a chair, then there's an understanding amongst everyone and amongst yourself, because they say seeing is believing, but also hearing is believing. Hearing what something is can allow you to begin understanding of what it is. Sorry for the noise. Because if I was to go through life and I never identified, verbally said I was sexually abused as a child, and I just held it within and I never identified what it was, then there would be no understanding of the things that I've experienced or the things I've gone through. It would have just been, that's it. That's the end of the statement, the end of the sentence. By me verbally identifying it, what it was, then I can start to unpack and start to heal and recognize some of the things of how it impacted my life. And so, like I said, for me, one of my humps is vulnerability. And by me actually verbalizing it, I'm able to, one, understand what the definition is, what the word means. Two, understand and look at my actions. Three, start to begin to formulate an idea of I don't want to say a plan, but just formulate how I can start to decrease the hump. Like, what are some things that can help counteract vulnerability? Once you start identifying things, then you can start to understand how to resolve them. I know I kind of went way around that. And so that's why, for me, this is kind of a big deal, because it kind of, dives into my psyche and thinking of things. And so just touching on that, once you've become aware and identify what the hump is, then you are able to dive into, okay, what caused this hump to occur? And then lastly, because you have identified it, you've made it known, and then you know what caused it, now we can start to take actionable tasks to overcome this. And that's the fun part, because the reason why that's the fun part, because you're really diving into your authentic self, because it's a part of you that you haven't tapped into yet. It's been hidden behind whatever this hump is, whatever this wall is. And by you breaking it down you're finally starting to see who you are. The world is starting to see who you are, that you're an amazing person. And it can be a lot to digest and start to feel comfortable in that space, because it's unfamiliar territory. And, you know, a lot of times we run to what's familiar. And for me, I personally think that may not always be the best thing, to run to familiarity, because it doesn't give us a contrast of who we are, and then we're able, you know, to have understanding of what we like and what we don't like. Because if you're constantly running to what's familiar, you're in that comfort zone, and therefore you're not able to challenge yourself or to see what it is of who you truly are. You know, you still got that mask on when you're dealing with familiarity and comfort zones. But once you start facing that hump and taking and identifying it and taking action to overcome it, that mask starts to fall. And then it's like, oh, okay, this is who I am. And I was able to hide behind this hump, behind this wall, right? And now that I'm exposed, it's almost like, I'm sorry, a little emotional. Just being exposed, and it's like, I'm sorry. Just being exposed. Who is this person? I don't know who this person is. And that can be scary. I know. Just thinking about it, of being exposed and vulnerable and naked, and just realizing that you are, it just makes me think about, not to get biblical, but, you know, just being in the garden and realizing that you're naked. And so what are you supposed to do? That's when you start to see who you are, right? And that you may like who you are, you may not, but you have the ability to change and to take action. So that's why it's important to address these walls or these humps in our lives, so that we become our best selves, our true selves, under what we were given this life to do, you know, to really dive into our mission and our purpose. And a lot of times, overcoming that hump and that wall will allow you to do that in this lifetime. Sorry, I got a little emotional there, guys, but that's why this is important to me, because it's like, you know, you feel your potential and how great it is. And I feel that for you guys too. I just feel everyone's potential and their greatness. And I just really want everyone to really step into that, because we all are great. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope whatever I said today resonates or reaches someone. If you want to continue the conversation, definitely comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And again, it's your girl, Shantae Renee. Until next time, peace and love.